Can everybody who's on hear me? Okay, then we're going to get started today. So for those of you on the call, if you haven't seen my chat message, if you can hear me and you can see my screen, then please type in your first name and troop number in the chat log. And if you need help with finding where the chat log is, take a look at your screen. I'm going to be asking you guys to unmute yourself here shortly. So just so everybody knows, you're here for the Finding Common Ground Cadet badge. That is our Legacy Citizen badge for cadet level. And we're going to start this meeting just like we would any other troop meeting. So if you guys could unmute yourselves, we're going to start with the promise and the law. So does everybody know the Girl Scout promise and law? You guys are cadets, so I would think you would know it. Okay, so does anybody want to lead us? No, is everybody being shy? Okay, who wants to start with the Girl Scout promise? So you can put your Girl Scout signs up, right? And you're gonna say, on my honor, I will try
to serve God
and my country
to help people at all times
and to live by the Girl Scout law. Okay. Now the Girl Scout law, you guys should know that one too, but that one's the longer of the two.
Right.
Wow. I kind of look in my book to make sure that I say the right words. So I don't know if that's right or wrong for you guys. Is that backwards or forwards for you guys?
It's fine. It's just small.
It's itty bitty. Yeah, I know. I didn't type it in on the slide. But
Have you heard of?
so let's go ahead and do the Girl Scout law. So make your Girl Scout sign again. The Girl Scout law is, I will do my best.
Do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful,
considerate and caring, courageous
and strong,
and responsible for what I say and do.
And to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place,
and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Okay, so now that we got the basics out of the way, thanks for coming on board today. Now I know some of you are probably getting to be really good at Zoom, but in case you're not, here's what some of the control panels look like, especially if you are on a computer. All right, so from my control panel, I can tell we have 16 people logged in today. So thank you to all my friends for coming on board today. If you need to unmute to participate, then you're going to click the unmute button. It kind of looks like an old-fashioned microphone. And if you want to be seen, then you would click on the video link so that there's not a red line through it. If there's a red line through it, it means we can't see your beautiful faces, and that's okay. You don't have to feel like you have to visually show yourself on here, but sometimes it's a good way to connect. Okay, we're stuck right now with this social distancing bit. So seeing people's faces is sometimes a beautiful thing. All right, so webinar etiquette, show up on time. Thanks for showing up on time, ladies. Turn off your webcam during the presentation if you think you're going to be distracting. I'm not worried about it, so don't worry about it if you aren't worried about it. Wait your turn to talk. Ask questions concisely. So before you say you want to ask a question, kind of formulate it in your brain. Think about it and how you want to pose the question so that everybody in the group can listen and then answer. Don't use the chat room for your personal conversations. If you need to chat with a friend that you see on board, you can use the drop-down box to send it to that person and not to everyone, okay? But try to limit that because you should be paying attention to what we're covering today. Remove distractions, so siblings, pets, sometimes moms, but remove the distractions if you think you're gonna have any, and then make use of the software's engagement features. So You know, if you have a question and you don't feel comfortable speaking it, then go ahead and type it in the chat log. I've got a couple of other adult Girl Scouts on board today who are helping me monitor that chat log. And so we'll keep the questions flowing that way. But otherwise, you can feel free to unmute and ask your questions as well. So I featured a quote here from Juliet Gordon-Low: "To put yourself in another's place requires real imagination, but by doing so, each Girl Scout will be able to live among others happily." What do you guys think she meant when she said that? Throw out some feedback on that. Can anybody think of a saying that comes to mind that might put yourself in another's place? What might that saying be? Hi, Allison.
Hi.
So have you guys ever heard the saying, put yourself in someone else's shoes? Yep, somebody just put that in the chat log, right? So part of this badge, it's called Finding Common Ground. And part of it is about finding ways to get along with people who are different than you, finding ways to bridge the gap between positions or sides of a disagreement or an argument. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding something that's common between you and someone else so that you can become a friend or have something to talk about. So you guys see a lot of this in school, and I'm hoping that some of the tools we talk about through this 3-part series is going to help you guys initiate conversations with people maybe you didn't know that well when you were in school. So when we return to school, hopefully you guys will be able to employ some of these tools. So there's 5 steps to every badge in our Girl Scout program. The steps to this particular badge, Finding Common Ground. So if you guys don't know what it looks like that. All right. Get to know someone different than you. Make decisions in a group. Explore civil debate. Understand a compromise. And finding common ground through mediation. So today we're only going to talk about the first 2. The next time we get together, which is next Wednesday, we'll talk about steps 3 and 4. And then we'll have a special guest with us on the 29th. We're skipping the 22nd. So on the 29th, we'll have a special guest from CSNEO who will come in and talk to you guys about the art of mediation. So step 1, get to know someone different from you. So how can we do that as Girl Scouts? What are some ideas? How do you get to know someone you don't already know? Give me some ideas. If someone new shows up at school or someone new comes to your Girl Scout meeting, how might you get to know that person?
Look like maybe what they wear, or maybe if they draw or do a hobby.
So ask them about their hobby, or compliment them on something they're wearing or something they're doing. Maybe they're drawing a really cool picture. What about just simply saying hi or being that friendly face? Could you imagine how hard it is at your age, right? 6th, 7th, 8th grade to start at a new school, to have to introduce yourself to new kids who've been together since kindergarten? Reese makes a good point in the chat log and says, tell them a little bit about yourself. So maybe you introduce yourself. Say, hey, my name's Nicole and I like volleyball, right? Do you play any sports? That's simple. But maybe that's the difference between that person actually having friends and not having friends. And maybe you'll find out that despite what you see, because first impressions aren't everything, that you might actually find out that you have something in common with that person anyways. See past your own opinion. That is a skill set that's really hard for people to do. Grace says you can ask them if they want to hang out with you. That's always a good one. You could say, hey, would you like to sit with me at lunch? You know, we do X, Y, and Z on the playground at recess. Would you like to come play Foursquare with us? You know, invite them to do something and see. Maybe they like that activity. Maybe they're not good at that activity, but at least you're opening the door and asking them. So see past your own opinion. That simply means that everybody has an opinion on everything. So for instance, I prefer my pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, and green peppers on it. But some of you guys might be like, oh man, mushrooms, that's disgusting, right? So what do you like on your pizza? Right? Throw out your pizza ideas. What's your favorite pizza? I don't care how weird it is. Throw it out. What's your favorite pizza?
Deluxe.
Deluxe. I really like the taco pizza from east of Chicago. Has taco meat on it and lettuce and cheese and sour cream and tomatoes. Some people think that's crazy, but it's actually really good. So you got deluxe pizza. How many people out there just like plain old cheese? Right? So I'm willing to see past my own opinion about pizza. What's something else I might be able to see past about? So someone in the chat log says they despise pizza. So they don't like pizza, and that's okay. So maybe we have other alternatives when we're at a party somewhere, right? Or if we have a school dance and we're trying to figure out what to serve. Explore differences is a way to learn. So we kind of talked about this already, right? You're introducing yourself to someone, you're asking them what they like to do. You're learning about them, even though they might be different. So maybe they're playing a game on their phone, but you don't know the game. And you say, teach me how to play that, or show me how to play that. Or how about the more often is why should I play that game? You know, I don't find that game interesting. Find things that are common between you. So the new girl at school shows up at Girls on the Run, right? Now you guys already have something in common. So that opens a door, a common thread between the two of you. You might be totally different. Maybe she really likes band and you can't stand playing instruments, so you want to sing songs, you know, but you guys have that common ground that is running. Don't sacrifice your personal stance, right? What does that mean? Can anybody tell me what that means? You want to find that common ground, but you don't want to sacrifice your personal stance. Think about it from the place that you don't want to be wishy-washy, right? So maybe you're going to have a discussion with that new person on the playground, and maybe their favorite, good, in the chat log, don't change what you think to fit in with others. Correct. Stay true to yourself, but maybe find an understanding with that person. Like, you can understand why they have that opinion, but you don't necessarily have to change yours just because you're now educated on why someone else thinks the way they do. Be open to other perspectives, beliefs, and opinions. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not have the same perspective on something, but it's never okay to disrespect someone for their difference in opinion. Does anybody have any questions on that? Now we're going to do some interactive stuff here. So you guys are going to camp, okay? And one of our traditions at camp is we always make a Gorp or a trail mix style snack on Friday night. So are you team sweet or team savory? So tell me in the chat log or tell me verbally, do you like sweet stuff in your Gorp or do you like salty and spicy stuff in your Gorp? We've got savory, savory, savory. Anybody on team sweet? Team sweet, okay. Sweet.
Sweet.
Nice. Savory, sweet, savory. Okay, so you guys are about split, which is about the normal, right? So what's nice about our Gorp line is we can respect others' decisions to bring a particular item, but we don't necessarily have to stick that item into our bag, right? So what is something that you guys absolutely have to have in your Gorp? Give me some ideas, some items. And next week, I want you guys to bring your items to the meeting. So we're gonna virtually Gorp with each other, okay? Peanuts, goldfish, pretzels. I know little marshmallows are a favorite. Chocolate chips, M&Ms, candy, pretzels, Sour Patch Kids are always a good one. I like to get the big bag of those. Pretzels, yep, I see lots of pretzels. So those must be my team savory people. Okay, so people are different. They have a difference of opinion. but it can work together to make a really great snack. All right, so now here's our next thing. Favorite Netflix show? Pop it into the chat or say it out loud for me. On my block, Tiger King, Stranger Things, Gilmore Girls, Fuller House. Yep, never watched Netflix. Series of Unfortunate Events. I got 2 of those at the same time. Okay, so why did I ask you guys a question like that? You guys are all cadets, right? To get to know you guys better, yep. To get you to know you guys better, but to also see that you guys are all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls, but you have a vast difference of opinion on what your favorite Netflix show is. And maybe your favorite show isn't even on Netflix at all. Maybe your favorite show is on regular TV, or maybe it's on Hulu or Prime or any of the other streaming services that are available today. What about favorite book or author? Favorite book or author? Nonfiction. James Patterson, that's a good one, Allie. Space Booms, I don't think I read that one yet. Harry Potter. Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Hunger Games, Nora Roberts. Babysitter Club. Harry Potter. Smile, I really liked that book, Delaney. Lemony Snicket, you know, that series is just so fun. So do you guys see the differences? We've got nonfiction, we've got fiction, we've got paranormal fiction, we've got science fiction. We have Babysitter's Club, which is like, obviously, a kids series based on babysitting. I know I read those when I was younger. Anything on space, I think Grace is one of my, now my work phone's talking to me. That's hysterical. Okay, so difference of opinions. I should probably go shut my work phone off. All right, step 2. Does anybody have a question on step 1? We all understand about, you know, being different, but being able to find common ground, meeting people that are different than you. Okay, step 2, making decisions as a group. Give me some ideas of groups that you guys are familiar with. What types of groups do you make decisions in? Band's a big group usually, right? What about the obvious one, right? We're here for what? Girl Scouts. So lacrosse, a science project, band, sports, yep, sports teams. Girl Scouts, the Girl Scouts is probably the big one we're going to talk about just because that's what we're here for. So how does your troop make decisions? Because we're from different troops in the group. So how does your troop make decisions about what they want to do? Give me some ideas. We vote. Most of them are saying you guys do a vote. How do you guys do your vote? Do you guys vote on a piece of paper and put it in a box? Do you raise your hands? Does everybody close their eyes and raise their hands? So blind vote. So what's the difference between like having a whole group sit in a circle or around a table and raise their hands? What do you think are some of the problems with that? People can look. Do you think people would change their mind about what they're, yep, change their ideas on what they might vote on based on the fact that people are watching? So a little bit of peer pressure, maybe? Would that be fair to say that it's peer pressure? Yep. So when you blind vote, the next question then is, do you guys follow the majority rules? Or do you guys take a consensus? Do you compromise? Or do you just randomly pick ideas? Yep, looks like a lot of times, usually majority rules. Okay. So someone explain to me majority rules. So if there's 16 of us on the call, how many need to vote for something for it to be the majority? Yep, more than half, right? So if there's 16 of us on here, we need at least 9 people to say majority. Consensus. Can someone tell the group what's a consensus? When you take a consensus, what are you doing? Yeah, you're finding the answer. Absolutely. So let me give you this example. So your troop mates want walking tacos for lunch, but you want grilled cheese and a salad bar. Now, mind you, you guys will be at camp from Friday to Sunday morning, right? What do you got? How do you guys think you could compromise on that? Mr. Reese. So the example that they give us in the pamphlet is your brother wants burgers and you want pizza. You could order a cheeseburger pizza, right? You could throw the two together, or you could have burgers one meal and have pizza a different time. So one of the suggestions yep, you do lunch on one day based on what somebody wants, and lunch a different day. Or even you can make it different meals. So say you're only really eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner there, right? One could be lunch, one could be dinner, right? Or you guys could say, okay, since we can't agree on those, what's a third option? Can everybody agree on a third option? And maybe everybody then agrees on pasta with a salad bar, right? What is a good time to do random activities? Can you guys think of a way to select random activities? Think of something you may have done Girl Scout wise like this, or even in another activity. When would picking random activities be a good idea? Abby, are you drinking tea? Oh, it's good. What badge to do? So you guys pick randomly your badges. Okay. What about like activities on the playground at recess? So when you're in school, I mean, do you absolutely know for a fact that you're going to go out and play Foursquare? Oh, what to do with free time? That's a good one, Allie, right? Have you guys ever just thrown a bunch of ideas into like a bag or a box or a hat and just picked one? No, I think that's kind of fun, but you have to be willing to like play and have fun with it. So our family right now, we're doing kind of like a quarantine competition game. And so we have a whole chart that my daughter put up on the wall. And like one night we played chess against each other, team on team. And my son and I lost. My daughter and my husband won that one. But we're just randomly picking from that board different activities that we all said we would participate in. And then we're doing points for that. We haven't figured out what the prize is yet, but so we're randomly selecting those activities, right? I think usually with your badges, even if you randomly select them, how do you guys figure out or decide how it's getting taught to you guys? Because you guys are cadets now, right? So are your leaders still teaching those? Do you guys have guest speakers? Are you guys teaching each other? And now, I mean, obviously now you've got this virtual option, right? Where you're coming online and you're learning from somebody else. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so you're the only one that's in your troop that is a cadet. So have you taught anything to the younger girls then as a cadet? Yep. Okay, so how do you think the decisions are different between like say your family and your troop and maybe like the band or a sports team? How do you think there's differences?
You could be meaner to your siblings about it. And that's
you could say I'm the oldest, so what I say goes, right? Or your parents could trump you in a family decision, right? You could say, hey, we want ice cream from Handles, and mom could say, nope, we have coupons for Dairy Queen, right? Is that an option? And then your troop, for most of you, you guys said that's going to be a vote, right, with majority rules, which makes a lot of sense. And in our type of situation, so this virtual group for today, for this badge, I'm going to ask you to make some decisions as a group that's going to affect our next 2 sessions, okay? Uh-oh, that didn't save. Here we go. So we have to do a debate next time we get together. Does anybody know what a debate is? Does anybody want to tell me what a debate is so I don't have to tell you guys?
Not sure about, like, if you want to get pizza, or like, it's not a huge argument, but nothing.
Right. It could be a small argument. It could be just different opinions in general, right? So the topics that I put on the screen there are topics that are suggested in the badge worksheet. And the reason I want to stick to those debate topics is because they're all Girl Scout appropriate. And we should be able to come to a consensus on a couple of them. About maybe our guests, if I can get them on board for next week, we might have some debate team guests from the high school who will show you how they prepare for an actual debate competition. But then I want you guys to come back ready to debate a little bit. So I think if we're going to go with a debate, we've got 16 people on. If everybody's coming back next week, we could have even 2 different debates. And what do I mean by a debate? So here's how it's going to work, okay? You guys would have to pick a topic and have a buddy, right? You pick one side of the argument and I pick the other. Or, like, for instance, if it was me and Barb, I would pick school attendance should be voluntary. And Barb's a school teacher. So Barb, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you not say that no, school attendance needs to be mandatory?
School attendance should be mandatory.
Okay, so I would make all of my points or my arguments about why school attendance should be voluntary. And then Barb would take time to present all the reasons why school attendance should be mandatory, right? And all we're doing in that debate is trying to give you guys the reasons why we feel our position's proper. And then sometimes there's a vote after that, and sometimes there's not. Who can think of debates that are going on right now in our country? Give me some ideas. So it's like a civil debate.
And
so,
the rest of the school year?
Yeah, whether to have the rest of the school year or end the rest of the school year. Who's going to be the next president? What about whether or not masks should be mandatory when you go out in public, right? Whether you have to stay inside or whether you still have the ability to go out. There's lots of things that are being debated right now. But what I need you guys to focus on right now is, what's a topic area, you guys, give me 1 or 2 topic areas that are off of this page that interest you guys. You can pop those into the chart or into the chat, or you can speak it out loud, whichever one you're more comfortable with. I want to get an idea, because what I'm going to ask is the most popular answer. I'm going to ask the debate team if they would argue that for us so that you guys can see your selection. And then if you guys also want to choose one to debate amongst yourselves, or maybe you guys can make points that they don't come up with. Does anybody want to offer to debate a topic next time we get together? So far, I have 3 different ones in the chat log. Okay, I have 2 for standardized testing. I have schools should be year round, TV's a bad influence, And then I have a suggestion for one that's not on there yet, and that's whether to go to school or be at home for the rest of the year. Junk food in schools. Yeah. We've got 16 people on the call and I've only had about 5 answers in the chat. If you guys don't know how to work the chat and you need to give me your answer verbally, that's fine. But I'd like to get a little bit more votes before I decide what I'm going to be asking the debate team members to argue for us. Anybody else going to pitch in an idea? Having pools at school, do you mean like swimming pools, Grace, or do you mean polls, like the voting polls? Because I know that's a hot button topic too. Mandatory drug testing for extracurriculars, I think that's a good one too. Okay. So lots of ideas. Anybody wanting to debate next time we come back? Or do they want to see how the professionals do it? So full disclosure, true story. I actually was on the speech and debate team in high school. And I don't even know why I joined it. I think it's just, it was an extracurricular activity to give me something to do. And so on top of marching band and symphonic band and orchestra and concert band, I did speech and debate team. And I didn't like the idea of doing drama. So drama, the dramatic performances were like the people who did like mini plays where you're going off of a script and you are, you know, just acting and you have to really take down a role. And that just really wasn't my cup of tea. So I just looked at the director and I was like, seriously, I don't know. What do you want me to do? So he put me on the extemporaneous speech and debate team. Okay. Now, if you guys think this is hard, me asking you to take a topic and debate it next week, I would have to legitimately pull a topic, a current events topic out of a hat or a box, and I would have literally 20 minutes to prepare a 5-minute factual speech on that topic. And then I would have to go in front of a judge in a room and do my speech. And so I always thought, God, why do I do this to myself? It makes me nervous every time I do it. My stomach would be all tied up in knots and I'd be really super nervous and freaking out about it. And I always thought, well, how would this help me in real life? What would I use it for? And I'm actually a lawyer by trade. And a lot of times you have to make up those arguments on the fly. So someone might throw something out in court and you have to find a way to counter it right away. You don't necessarily have time to go back to your law books and do the research. You just have to spout something back out that makes sense and actually is factual. So the things that I learned in school are actually applying to my adult life. All right, we've got a bunch of ideas here in the chat log that I'll take for next week. Okay, so are there any other questions on decision-making, compromise, majority rules, picking at random, or different ways to get to know each other?
I was actually just wondering, when is the next meeting next week? What time?
The next meeting is April 15th. Okay, there'll be another Zoom link and it's at 3 p.m. And like I said, I'm working on solidifying some guest speakers that have debate skills from the debate team for us. And then we're also going to do step 4, which is understand a compromise. Okay. And then after that, we have to skip a Wednesday because I have a very important meeting at work on the 22nd and I can't be in 2 places at once. So the following meeting will be on April 29th at 3 p.m. And Shana is one of my coworkers. She is also the manager of volunteer relations at GSNEO. She's going to join us for the discussion on step 5, which is all about mediation. She is our pro mediator at Girl Scouts. She's going to help you guys pretend to mediate a cookie conflict, to mediate some of your suggested examples of conflict. So next week, I'll be asking you for examples of conflicts, either that you have experienced personally in your troop or that you've experienced personally at school. But I don't want any names, okay? So just the concept, what was the argument about? What was the conflict? What was the basis for it? And then she's also going to give you guys some insight on our no problemas conflict resolution for girls tools that we offer. And those are our conflict resolution and mediation tools that Shane and I put together last fall. So if there's no other questions from the group, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys log off if you would like. Any questions? Are y'all going to head back to see us next Wednesday, I hope? Okay. All right. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep it short. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week should be a little bit more fun because there'll be somebody different on talking with you and kind of helping out. And then definitely schedule out yourself for April 29th. The events are in the Facebook group. If you can't access it, have your parent download that link for you and make sure that you get it ahead of time. And then the password is always given out right about 10 minutes before. Okay. Have a good afternoon, ladies. It was nice to see you.